Konnichiwa, Dokshana Minasama, and welcome back to PJL Books. Today, on the A to Z of Japan, we are at M, and today's M is for mountains. Being a collector of conquering mountain peaks in the UK is akin to being a pyromaniac in Atlantis. True, places like Scotland and the Lake District have their fair share of peaks and uplands, but most of them pale in comparison to what most other countries offer. Put it this way, the UK's highest point, Ben Nevis, stands at 1,344 metres above sea level. Not to be taken lightly, of course. I've learned the hard way to treat mountains with respect, but it is a pittance compared to most other countries, such as Japan, where the highest peak, Mount Fuji, stands at a formidable 3,776 metres. All the more incredible when you consider that Fuji is very much its own mountain, whereas UK mountains like Ben Nevis and Scafell Pike are pretty much just highest points on elevated plateaus. Oops, sorry, did that sound disrespectful? I didn't mean it, fellas. Anyway, as a hiker who liked to scale the highest heights of the UK, perhaps I was led into a false sense of security, because when I arrived in Japan, I had to learn hiking humility all over again. Oh, sure, you can read the stuff. Sure, you can read that Mount Fuji is over twice as high as the highest peak you've climbed. You can read that Japan is an island born of tectonic movement and is thus made of effectively nothing but mountains. But it's only in the moment, when you are clambering over steep inclines in the cold and rain, one slow and aching step at a time, and then look up to see that you have only rounded a blind peak and in fact have so much further to go, do you truly appreciate those facts. Case in point, when I was first placed in Japan, I spotted a line of mountains outside of my window. These formed part of the Chichibu National Park. On the very end is a prominent pyramid-like peak called Kasayama, which I resolved to conquer the very moment I saw it out of my first train out there. When I eventually did it in May 2010, it was a very humbling experience. It was much taller and much further away than I thought it would be. More than that, Kasayama is a comparatively gentle bump by comparison to what else Japan has to offer. And although I didn't climb any mountains at the time, my road trip with friends during the Golden Week of 2010 from Gunma to Kanazawa was unforgettable for so many reasons, not least because that was the first time I had seen up close proper mountains. The kind of mountains I had only seen in movies up until that point. Jagged peaks piercing the skies, the powder snow discernible from the clouds, torn like cotton wool across their moody faces. It was awe-inspiring in the original meaning of the word, and slightly foreboding to behold them. My trepid beginnings in the UK had made me a little bit big-headed when it came to hiking and mountain climbing. There would definitely be a sense of real achievement from atop these mountains, but it would never be as simple as the step-by-step procedure I'd grown used to. I have climbed more mountains since then, Myogi, Tsukuba, Takao-san, Jimba, the mountains in Kamikochi, and Mount Fuji, twice actually. That's a story for another time. But with that time, I found a new medium for Japanese hiking. The routes are clearer to follow. The path is often laden with all kinds of features such as old shrines, statues and sweeping views, and you are very likely to pass by other like-minded people willing to chat. Some of the things I am less keen on is that the keen pathfinders like me might find the route a little bit overcooked. That is, the path can be clear to the point of boring, sometimes even laid with stones or, yes, concrete. And this being Japan, on weekends, even mountains can be busy. And what with the rapid reforestation of Japan after the war, far too many of these peaks are smothered in trees. So unless you're hiking a peak that was a volcano or is particularly popular, you're unlikely to get that rewarding view from the top. I mean, Kasayama was like this. There was only just a spooky old shrine at the top, and I couldn't make out any scenery. But that all comes with the nature of hiking. You literally take it in your stride. I haven't done enough of it as of late, though I itch to tie on my boots, pack a rucksack, and disappear into the wilderness sometimes. And of course, there is a list of 100 famous mountains of Japan, and what with me being a collector of mountain peaks, it's surely only a matter of time. And that's it for today's A to Z of Japan. Thank you very much for listening, readers. This blog post is on my A to Z of Japan blog, the link of which is in the description below, along with my website, so please check them out if you can. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Sayonara.